Pekka Luukkonen really, I mean, it looked like he's working on a lot of different things. To me, and I'm not a goalie coach, he looks like a different goalie. How are you guys looking?
I think he's physically he's different. He leaned down, he trained a little different. It looks like, he's maybe more fit for the position or increased his fitness in positionally. And he's able to move through practice with a higher workload and move through a game with a higher workload. He holds his positions better, and we saw that through the duration of the game today.
What does it tell you that, after the Connery signing, with Craig coming back, it would have been easy for somebody in that particular situation as development to be frustrated, but instead he obviously worked this summer and came in. He's had a really good camp.
Yeah. I think I say it to players all the time. You can be frustrated, don't play frustrated. Don't So he I think all these guys they go through various frustrations in their careers and games and practice situations, whatever it is, but just plow through it and make sure you get your job done. And Upi definitely put the work in this summer. He looked great from day one, and it was nice to see him have a very good performance today.
Don, the stat sheet says you went 0 for 6 in the power play, but does it even remotely feel like an 0 for 6 day given the amount of zone time?
Keep them hungry, Mike. Keep them hungry. Yeah, no, they did a lot of nice things, but it's preseason. You can tell these guys don't feel quite the polish of their game, and that's what the preseason's all about. Is putting them in those situations for repetitions that those fine skills that are needed are honed, and lots of good execution, but just that fine last little bit wasn't there. And I think both goaltenders were sharper than the shooters tonight. Jari was real good, and obviously Upi was really good. They were probably on their game more so than the shooters tonight.
In fact, how important was it that you guys let him know that you still believe in him? I think Kevin called him right away after Eric signed.
That's extremely important. That these guys know we believe in them, and that's a great segue to what's happening here today as Rochester opens up their camp, and we're going to have to start paring down. I can tell you that the guys that we have signed and brought into this camp, it's all about winning at this level, and I think all of the guys that we've seen through camp at some point or another through their career are going to have a chance to help us win games. There's been a lot of growth that we've seen in guys that are familiar names, and Quinn and Peterka and UPL, who we mentioned. But that was one thing we look for in camp when we're evaluating at this level. Can these guys help us win? And I was very happy to see that the drive in each one of these guys through camp, as we have to reduce our numbers, that these guys are in our organization and they're on a track to continue to improve.
Is Hugo doing a better job of fighting for his ice when there's traffic around him, and fighting for his ice so he can see that shot coming?
He is, and I think that has to do with greater confidence, increased confidence, greater self-expectation. I think that was one thing we looked at last year with getting him games last year, was to develop that hindsight even when he went into an off-season of training. What is he training for? What was he challenged with? He had some success last year, but there was enough there to say, I need to get better too. And I think, he internalized that well, and we're seeing that growth.
You're going to obviously break down into one group now. I mean, how much is Monday almost a different start to camp where you really start to hone in?
It is different. Monday's a much different day for camp. As I mentioned to you guys, you sort of let the players play from the coaching standpoint early on through camp until they, start feeling better and better and stronger. And, even this morning's practice was much harder than it had been earlier in camp, and that will continue to ramp up.